Hello everybody, this is StockerFinance. I'm your host David Scheuer, and today we're going to be talking about something that has been trending on Twitter. It's currently trending in the United States, and I usually don't get on Twitter tea, but this has to do with something that is related to finance and investing and economics, so I think it's right to throw it on this channel. And that is a hashtag that has been trending, and the hashtag is labeled RIP Capitalism. So that's interesting. I saw this. It has about 20,000 tweets, lots of people just spamming into the feed here. And as you know, Twitter is a war zone, so there's tons of different opinions, tons of different ideologies, all arguing with each other on here. And the interesting thing about this is the people who are arguing that, capitalism needs to end, that it has screwed everything up, that, America's falling apart, all because of capitalism. They're blaming everything on capitalism. And so I'm going to show you a few tweets here from people, and these are just some of the ones that I picked out. If you want to go take a look at all of them, you can just go click on the hashtag, or I'll try to throw maybe some more on my Twitter, so make sure to follow me there. But let me read off some of the more prominent ones that I saw here. So here is one guy who's been tweeting a lot on this feed. He's probably the one who's been tweeting out the most. He seems to have a decent following. He looks like a podcaster. He's a proud socialist, apparently. That's his handle. And I'm here to simply argue against him and argue against this entire idea of rip capitalism. Capitalism sucks. Because to be honest, I think a lot of these people are incredibly ill-informed, don't know what they're talking about, don't understand economics, and really don't understand a lot of why America works the way it does, how we've been so successful, and why we're not ending up like Venezuela or some of these other countries that are socialist countries, real socialist countries, who have been completely, destroyed from socialism. And I'm going to talk about, basically, I'm just going to read off their points, and then I'm going to go ahead and refute them in a kind and just a nice political debate manner. So if you disagree with me, make sure to comment below. I love having a civil discussion. Just don't go around throwing swear words at people. I've seen a lot of that on Twitter, and it's just ridiculous. I'm just here to debate my opinion and my views with those who have views opposite to mine. So anyways, let's go ahead and check out this rip capitalism narrative that's going on. So Ryan Knight here, he says, Jeff Bezos is set to become the world's first trillionaire. Well, that's an interesting thing there. I'm not sure where you got that he's set to become the world's first trillionaire. He's currently worth under 200 billion still, so he's got a while to go before he becomes the first trillionaire in terms of net worth. And y'all out here still defending capitalism as if you're billionaires and this exploitive system is actually working for you. So he really doesn't give any actual substantive facts into why it's not working for someone, why people are defending it, why as if you're this whole tweet really doesn't make any sense. I'm a bit confused about it, so I'm just going to skip to the next one here, because that one, there's a lot going on there. It doesn't really make sense. And I'm going to talk about Jeff Bezos in a second, though, because he has another one that comes up about him. The next one by Benjamin Dixon here is capitalism is killing us. So us killing it first is just self-defense. So his plan is to eliminate capitalism completely, kill capitalism, replace it with, he didn't say what he wants to replace it with. I'm going to go ahead and assume socialism. I don't want to assume too much, though. But, that's just what he has to say there. Just he wants to kill capitalism. Well, we know that would probably not be the best idea, especially with the current state that people are in. But to be honest, the coronavirus seems to be killing capitalism pretty good on its own. It's shutting down tons of businesses. I know people who own restaurants personally who've had to close their doors, not just temporarily, but permanently, because they've not been able to make it through the coronavirus. It's really sad to see all these local businesses who are a result of capitalism. That's why they're able to do this, because they are, entrepreneurs who want to start something, and capitalism allows them to do that. But now coronavirus has been really hurting their business. And, that's part of capitalism, is making it through tough times. It happens, and it sucks. And I guess you could say that's a downside to capitalism, but that's also a downside to pretty much any other ideology. If a disease comes through, it's going to affect everybody no matter what. So anyways, next up here. Capitalism and racism are identical twins. The origins of racism cannot be separated from the origins of capitalism. We need to get rid of them both. I agree, we do need to get rid of racism. Saying capitalism and racism are identical twins seems pretty interesting to me. There's plenty of socialist countries that are incredibly racist, that have done some really terrible things to their own people, that have completely subjected certain groups within their communities to do terrible things. There's plenty of examples of this, but I'm trying to focus more on the economics part of this, so I'm just going to keep going here. The next one here is, hey, you know what's good? What's good for capitalism? A living wage workforce that can afford to, buy shit. Well, I'm sorry to say, John, but the reason they're able to buy shit is because of capitalism. Capitalism is the reason we produce products. Companies employ people because of capitalism. That's how the system works. Socialism is everything under one umbrella. And even if you could afford stuff, well, people won't have the incentive to actually create new things. They won't have the incentive to create stuff in the first place. There's no competition. There's no prices. In fact, prices may actually increase because there's no competition out there. Capitalism creates competition, which lowers prices, which actually increases wages because they want to engage, they want to bring on strong workers. So the reason people have living wages and the reason people actually can buy shit and the reason stuff is items or, as he labeled as shit, the reason those commodities, etc., are lower price is due to a competition between companies, between assets, etc. And so that's the reason people can't afford stuff in the first place. If the government decides the prices of items, and if a group as a whole has no incentive because they're all working together in this little socialist society, they're not going to have the same incentive as they were if they are owning and competing against other businesses. So that's a little refute to his thing, but we're still just getting to the heart of it, so stick with me here. So now here's where I'm going to start bringing up some other details outside of Twitter, because this just gets me a little heated, and let's bring up some actual facts after this tweet here. So Ryan Knight, we're back to him. Good old proud socialist Ryan Knight. I don't know how anyone can defend an economic system where a plutocrat like Jeff Bezos makes $24 billion during a pandemic while 33 million Americans lose their jobs. The disease plaguing our nation is capitalism, and the vaccine is democratic socialism. Now oh God. Okay, this doesn't make sense for so many reasons. First off, why are you labeling a disease as capitalism and a vaccine as... You think if we switch to democratic socialism, the I guess we could just say pandemic is suddenly just gonna, stand up and leave? It's like, oh, thank God. Let me go put my clothes on, put my shoes on. Let me just walk out the door. You guys are all going to be healthy again. I'm just a nice little coronavirus. I'm going to go ahead and go back home and leave the human race to live again. No, that's not at all what's going to happen. No matter what system you switch to, it's still going to harm. In fact, capitalism actually provides a way to fight better against the coronavirus, and for a few reasons. Number one, banks are able to give out loans. We're also seeing the fact that, which there's some negatives to that as well. I don't know if that's the best example. Let me give a better example, though. Medical companies fighting to create the first vaccine, because the first one to create the vaccine will benefit dramatically from the profits of that. Without that competition, if there's no competition, no one would have an incentive to create a vaccine. The reason we were able to see, and I know we don't have one quite yet, but the reason we've been seeing so much progress made on testing kits, on, all these companies who suddenly made ventilators to provide to these hospitals. The reason we saw all this production and this research with spending billions of dollars to research, a cure, etc. for the coronavirus, the reason we've been able to progress towards that is because of capitalism, that competition that is created there. And, the incentive for someone to buy another product, etc. And the incentive for them to race each other, and this competition that's created through capitalism is the reason, as I said, that they're making so much progress on finding a cure and a vaccine, etc. So anyways, I don't think changing the ideology and changing the system of our country is going to make the coronavirus leave. Next up, let's talk about Jeff Bezos here. This seems to be a target of pretty much all socialists, is billionaires and Jeff Bezos. Now, I want to talk about something really quickly, and I just want to point this out here. Let's go to Amazon. So Amazon has been up around 40% since the bottom of the coronavirus. Now, good old Ryan Knight here is arguing that Jeff Bezos made $24 billion during the pandemic, while 33 Americans lost their job. You could argue that Jeff Bezos has shut down some mom and pop shops because he is innovating and because People are switching more and more to online. But guess what, Ryan Knight? I can almost guarantee you use Amazon to buy stuff. I can almost guarantee that. In fact, the majority of people do, and that's why Amazon's been so successful, is because people like the convenience of Amazon. They like it. People choose to purchase on it. If people didn't like it, Amazon wouldn't be around. But Amazon has found a way to compete. It has found a way to completely dominate and take over. And whether you argue that it's good that Amazon is shutting down businesses and, replacing a lot of the mom and pop shops, I don't necessarily think that's the best thing. Obviously, it kind of sucks to see a lot of those shops go, but that's how innovation works. That's how competition works. All right, so let's go ahead and look at Jeff Bezos' net worth here. So he's worth 145 billion US dollars as of today's the 13th of May, 2020. And that is majority in stock and holdings and companies and investments. He doesn't have this in his bank. He's not going around looking to buy something for $145 billion. He doesn't have that in a bank account sitting somewhere or a pile of cash. That's not how it works. In fact, if he had a pile of cash, he'd actually be losing money due to inflation, most likely. Anyways, though, that's not how that works. In case anyone was wondering here, I assume my viewers are smart enough to know that. But now, the next thing I want to look at here. So, Jeff Bezos is worth that much money. He owns this massive company that people are choosing to buy from because it is competing and providing a better service than other companies, etc. So, now the most interesting thing is, and I do want to point out that during the coronavirus, Amazon actually plummeted 22%. So, has Jeff Bezos made a lot of money during the coronavirus because Amazon's benefited from people choosing to purchase online instead of going to stores? Absolutely. Does that have anything to do with our political system? No, not really. It has to do with people being too scared to go outside due to a virus that may kill them. That's what it has to do. People would choose to stay inside no matter what political system we have going on, unless they were, forced outside, etc. Obviously, not everyone is choosing to stay inside. Some states have chosen different things. I'm not going to talk about that too much. We'll save that for a different video, or you can see my views on that on Twitter, etc. So anyways, though, I do want to point out here, Jeff Bezos, or I guess we'll just say Amazon, employs 840,000 people. 840,000, almost 1 million people are employed under Amazon. That's right. That is an insane number of employees for one company. And that number's increasing, by the way. That's just probably an outdated number because they went on a massive hiring spree during coronavirus. People who lost jobs, Amazon was able to offer them jobs. And that is thanks to capitalism. The reason Amazon is around is because of capitalism. The reason you're tweeting on Twitter is because of capitalism, because they had the incentive to create a new product. Another example I want to get here is Amazon. Just another billionaire, sorry, not Amazon, Tesla and Elon Musk. Elon came here. He immigrated here from South Africa. He went to Canada, and then he worked. He eventually came down to the U.S., and he's most known for creating PayPal. He invented PayPal. Why did he invent PayPal? Well, there's an incentive to invent PayPal, to innovate, to create an entirely new system that now has provided people with it is completely an innovative system that provides people with a new payment method that was completely revolutionary. He sold it. He made, a massive chunk of change. He took that money, he reinvested it into Tesla and SpaceX, and he grew these companies. The only reason we're launching from the U.S. for the first time in years, I think since 2007, I'll try to correct that if that's wrong, but the reason we are launching astronauts to the space station from U.S. soil, and it has been so many years, is because Elon Musk, a billionaire, was able to fund his company through creating some other product, which is also innovating his rocket company, creating an entirely new, more affordable system to launch rockets by landing themselves, being able to reuse the system. And now he is able to launch U.S. astronauts from U.S. soil. We are not launching from Russian soil. That's an incredible feat. That would not happen if capitalism didn't exist. There would be no incentive. Everyone would be working in this nice little utopia that you think happens. That's not how it works. Competition creates an incentive. And that is the magic of capitalism. So, anyways, guys, the RIP capitalism thing is completely ridiculous, and I hope people just actually do their research before listening to these people, because it seems like it's gaining a lot of traction on Twitter, And that's just kind of scary to me, especially because the reason we've seen so many innovations in the past year, the reason our standard of living in the United States is so much higher than a lot of other places in the world, and the reason that we are one of the richest countries on the planet, as well as we are innovating continuously. We are launching the first U.S. astronauts from our soil in so long. The reason you are able to tweet on Twitter, the reason you are able to go drive an electric car for the first time, the reason you are able to do so many different things, the reason prices are competing with each other, the reason there is competition in general, price competition, innovation, etc., is because of capitalism. Capitalism is a very important central thing to the United States. It's why we've been so successful. I just hope people don't get carried away. It seems like people are really not understanding the definition of capitalism, not understanding how it works, and not understanding basic economics in general. Anyways, guys, this is StockerFinance. I know this video has been incredibly ranty and ridiculous, but I will see you guys in the next video.